Okay, so in this problem, we want to verify the identity here across the top that the secant of theta plus cosecant of theta times the quantity cosine of theta minus sine of theta, that's equal to the cotangent of theta minus the tangent of theta. And when you're going to verify a trig identity, you want to always start with the more complicated side, which clearly is this product of two binomials. So we'll start with secant of theta plus cosecant of theta times cosine of theta minus sine of theta. And for each step in our verifying the identity, we want to give a reason for that step. So this reason would be that it's our given information. And then to multiply through a product of two binomials, we use the acronym FOIL, first, outer, inner, last. So we're going to go ahead and multiply the secant times the cosine, and we'll have secant of theta cosine of theta. Then secant times negative sine will be minus secant of theta sine of theta. Then cosecant times cosine, so plus cosecant theta cosine of theta. And then the last cosecant of theta times negative sine of theta will be minus cosecant of theta sine of theta. Okay, and my board is too short to stretch that the whole way out, but that was FOIL. Okay, now when we look at this first product here, secant times cosine, secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so secant would be the same as 1 over cosine of theta, and that's times cosine of theta. And then that's minus secant, which is 1 over cosine, so we'll have 1 over cosine of theta times sine of theta. Then that's plus. Next is cosecant times cosine. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, so that we'll rewrite with a quotient, or not a quotient, a reciprocal identity, 1 over sine of theta times cosine of theta. And then minus, and cosecant is 1 over sine of theta, and then that's times sine of theta. We'll just draw some lines here so we can see where we are. And then this whole third line, this was each time using a reciprocal identity. Okay, now we can do some simplifying. Cosine in the numerator, cosine in the denominator, that will simplify and leave us with a 1. Then we have a sine over cosine, which is the same as tangent. So tangent of theta. Then here we have cosine over sine. Cosine over sine is a quotient identity as well. That is equal to the cotangent of theta. And then here at the end, we've got sine over sine, which is negative 1. Okay, and these two in the center, we used a quotient identity. Okay, then in the next step, we're going to go ahead and simplify. So 1 minus 1 is 0, so that cancels. And then if I rearrange with the commutative property, the tangent, the negative tangent of theta and the cotangent of theta, I'll have what I was aiming for, which was cotangent of theta minus tangent of theta. And that's using the commutative property of addition, and that's it. Now we've got cotangent of theta minus tangent of theta, which matches the simpler side of my identity. So I started with the more complicated side as my given information. I expanded out that product of binomials by foiling. Then I applied a reciprocal identity to the secant and the cosecant terms, simplified those, and applied a quotient identity for sine over cosine is tangent, and cosine over sine is cotangent. And then we simplified, used the commutative property, and that identity is verified.